Jake Morrison wiped the sweat from his forehead as he hiked deeper into the pine forest. The weekend camping trip was supposed to clear his head after months of debugging code at the tech company. Instead of relaxation, he found himself drawn by a strange blue light that had streaked across the sky the night before. The forest grew quiet as he approached the source of the disturbance. Birds stopped singing, insects fell silent, and even the wind seemed to hold its breath. Through the trees, Jake spotted something that made his heart skip. A sleek silver craft lay embedded in the earth, its hull cracked and smoking. "What the hell?" he whispered, approaching cautiously. The ship was unlike anything he had ever seen. Its surface rippled like liquid metal, and strange symbols glowed faintly along its sides. As he circled the wreckage, a soft moan came from within. Jake found an opening in the hull and squeezed inside. The interior pulsed with a gentle purple light, revealing a figure slumped over what looked like a control panel. It was a woman, but not quite human. Her skin had a subtle, iridescent quality, and delicate silver markings traced along her neck and arms. She lifted her head weakly, and Jake gasped. Her eyes were the most beautiful shade of violet he had ever seen, large and expressive, filled with pain, but also recognition. "You came," she whispered in accented English. Her voice melodic, despite her obvious injuries. "I knew you would find me, Jake." Jake stepped back, his mind reeling. "How do you know my name? Who are you?" The woman smiled softly, struggling to sit up. "My name is Zara Velenith of the Andromedon Fleet, and you are my bonded one. My soulmate across the stars." "That's impossible," Jake protested, though something deep in his chest stirred at her words. "I've never seen you before in my life." Zara's hand moved to her side, where a nasty gash leaked silvery blood. "The bond transcends memory, transcends species. Our souls recognized each other the moment you were born on this world, just as mine did when I first drew breath on Andros Prime." Jake wanted to run, to dismiss this as the ravings of an injured alien, but he found himself kneeling beside her instead. When their skin touched, a jolt of electricity passed between them, and for a brief moment, he saw flashes of images. A world of purple skies and crystal cities. Two figures walking hand in hand through gardens of luminescent flowers. "This is crazy," he muttered. But his hands were already examining her wounds with surprising gentleness. "You need medical attention." "Your touch is healing enough," Zara said, her eyes never leaving his face. "I have waited so long to find you, Jake Morrison. Traveled across galaxies, defied the Council's orders, crashed on this primitive world. All because the bond called me here." Jake felt his rational mind warring with something deeper, more primal. Every instinct told him to help her, to protect her, to trust her completely. "Even if what you're saying is true, how is this supposed to work? You're not even human." Zara reached up and touched his face with her uninjured hand. The contact sent warmth spreading through his entire body. "Love needs no translation, Jake. The heart speaks the same language across every star," as if to prove her point. The ship's systems began responding to their proximity. Lights brightened, and a gentle humming filled the air. Jake watched in amazement as the craft seemed to recognize their connection. "Will you help me?" Zara asked, vulnerability shining in her violet eyes. "My people will come looking for me soon, and they won't understand what we have." Jake knew he should walk away, port the crash, let the authorities handle it. But looking into Zara's eyes, feeling the inexplicable pull between them, he made a choice that would change his life forever. "Yes," he said simply. "I'll help you." Zara smiled, and in that moment, Jake felt something click into place in his soul, as if a missing piece of himself had finally been found. Memories of another life Jake carried Zara from the wreckage to his campsite. Her surprisingly light weight making the task easier than expected. She drifted in and out of consciousness, murmuring words in her alien language that somehow sounded familiar to his ears. As night fell, Jake built a fire and settled beside her makeshift bed of sleeping bags. Zara's injuries seemed to be healing at an accelerated rate, the silver blood clotting and sealing the wounds. Her skin regained its luminescent quality in the firelight. "You have questions?" she said softly. her voice stronger now. I can feel your confusion through the bond. Jake poked at the fire with a stick, avoiding her gaze. This bond you keep talking about, explain it to me. Make me understand how you can claim to love someone you've never met. Zara sat up slowly, wincing slightly. Among my people, there are ancient stories of soul connections that span across species, across worlds. Two beings destined to find each other no matter the distance or differences between them. She reached for his hand. May I show you? When Jake nodded reluctantly, Zara pressed her palm against his forehead. Suddenly, his vision filled with images that felt more real than memories. He saw himself, but not himself, in different clothes, on an alien world. The sky was a deep purple, and twin moons hung in the heavens. He was walking through a marketplace filled with beings of various species. But his eyes were searching, always searching. Then he saw her. Zara, but younger, her hair longer, wearing flowing robes of silver and blue. Their eyes met across the crowded square, and Jake felt the same electric connection he had experienced in the crashed ship. In the vision, they ran toward each other, bracing as if they had been separated for lifetimes. That was Kepler 44 to be, Zara whispered, pulling her hand away. A trading world where many species gather. In another life, another time, we found each other there. Jake blinked, trying to shake off the vivid images. You're saying we were together before? In some past life? Not past. Parallel. Zara's violet eyes gleamed in the firelight. The bond creates echoes across realities, across possibilities, somewhere in the vast multiverse. Every version of us finds every version of each other. Jake stood and paced around the fire, his engineer's mind struggling with concepts that defied logic. This is insane. People don't just meet and fall in love because of cosmic destiny, don't they? Zara challenged gently. Have you never felt incomplete, Jake? Never felt like something was missing from your life, no matter how successful or content you seemed? Jake stopped pacing. The truth in her words hit him like a physical blow. He had felt that way for years. A persistent emptiness that no achievement, no relationship, no amount of success could fill. I have dreams sometimes, he admitted quietly, of places I've never been, of a woman with violet eyes. I always wake up feeling like I've lost something important. Zara smiled sadly. The bond calls to us, even in sleep. Your dreams are memories of what we could be, what we are meant to be. Jake returned to sit beside her, drawn by an invisible force. Show me more. This time, when Zara touched his forehead, he saw a dozen different scenarios. In one, they were scientists working together on a space station. In another, they were rebels fighting side by side against an oppressive regime. Each vision showed them finding each other, recognizing the connection, falling in love despite impossible odds. In every reality, we choose each other, Zara whispered, even when it would be easier to walk away. Jake felt tears he didn't understand streaming down his face. The visions felt more real than his actual memories, more true than anything he had ever experienced. Why now? Why are you here? Because in this reality, the Council of Worlds has forbidden cross-species bonding. They fear what we represent, that love can transcend the boundaries they've created. Zara's hand found his. I was supposed to marry Commander Dex Corvain, a union arranged for political purposes. But the bond called me here, to you. Jake interlaced their fingers, marveling at how perfectly they fit together. So you ran away? I stole a scout ship and followed the bond's pull across space. The Council will send hunters, but I had to find you. Zara leaned closer, her forehead touching his. I would rather die on this world with you than live forever without you. Their lips met in a kiss that felt like coming home. Jake had kissed other women before, but nothing had ever felt this right, this complete. It was as if every kiss in his life had been practiced for this moment, when they broke apart. Jake saw his own wonder reflected in Zara's violet eyes. Around them, the fire crackled, and sparks rose toward the stars, as if the universe itself was celebrating their reunion. Jake woke to the sound of Zara's sharp intake of breath. Dawn was breaking through the trees, painting the forest in shades of gold and green. Zara was sitting up, her head tilted as if listening to something beyond human hearing. "They're here," she whispered. Fear creeping into her voice for the first time since he had found her. "Who's here?" Jake asked, though he already dreaded the answer. "The hunters." Led by Commander Dex Corvain himself, Zara struggled to her feet, her injuries mostly healed, but still tender. "He won't just take me back. Jake, he'll kill you to prove a point about the superiority of our species." Through the trees, Jake spotted the shimmer of advanced technology, cloaking fields failing as ships descended. The air hummed with energy weapons powering up. "This way," Jake said, grabbing their supplies. He knew these woods better than any alien hunter. Years of camping and hiking had given him knowledge of every trail, every hiding spot, every cave. They moved quickly through the underbrush. Zara's natural grace, making her surprisingly adept at forest travel despite her alien origins. Behind them, Jake could hear voices speaking in her language, commanding and cold. There, Zara pointed to a figure emerging from behind a tree 50 yards away. Corvain, the alien commander, was tall and imposing, with the same iridescent skin as Zara, but marked with scars that spoke of countless battles. His eyes were a cold silver, and his expression held nothing but disdain as he spotted them. "Zara Velenith." Corvain's voice carried easily across the distance, his English perfect but heavily accented. "You have disgraced yourself and our people. Return now, and your punishment will be merciful." "I will never return to a life without choice," Zara called back, moving protectively in front of Jake. "The bond is sacred. Older than your laws." Corvain laughed, a harsh sound that made Jake's skin crawl. "You speak of bonding with this primitive creature? This human who cannot even leave his own planet?" Jake stepped forward, anger overriding his fear. "Maybe we can't travel between stars, but at least we know what love means." "Love," Corvain spat. "A chemical reaction, nothing more. Zara, you were bred to be perfect, to strengthen our bloodline. This infatuation with an inferior species ends now." Energy weapons appeared in the hands of the other hunters, their barrels glowing with deadly purpose. Jake counted at least 6 aliens spreading out to surround them. "Run," Zara whispered urgently. "There's a cave system about half a mile north. I can buy you time." "I'm not leaving you," Jake said firmly. The bond between them thrummed with shared determination. "Whatever happens, we face it together." Zara turned to look at him, and Jake saw love and gratitude shining in her violet eyes. "Together," she agreed. They ran hand in hand through the forest, energy blasts searing the air around them. Jake led them along hidden deer paths, using his knowledge of the terrain to stay ahead of their pursuers. The bond seemed to enhance their coordination. They moved as one, anticipating each other's actions without needing to speak. The cave entrance was concealed behind a waterfall, a place Jake had discovered as a teenager. They splashed through the icy water and into the darkness beyond, their breathing echoing in the stone chamber. "They won't find us icily here," Jake panted, using his flashlight to illuminate their surroundings. "The water will mask our scent and thermal signatures." Zara nodded, then suddenly grabbed his arm. "Jake, there's something you need to know about the bond. In times of extreme danger, it can do more than just connect our emotions." "What do you mean?" "Our abilities can merge, combine in ways that make us stronger than either could be alone." Zara's eyes began to glow brighter. "But it requires complete trust, complete surrender to the connection between us." Outside the cave, they heard Corvain's voice growing closer. "You cannot hide forever. Zara, this world will become your tomb if you continue this foolishness." Jake took Zara's hands in his, feeling the familiar electric tingle of their touch. "I trust you completely. Show me what we can do." As their connection deepened, Jake felt his consciousness expanding, touching something vast and cosmic. For a moment, he could sense every living thing in the forest, could feel the hunters' locations, could even touch the edges of Corvain's cold, calculating mind. Now Zara whispered, "We fight back. Truth in the stars, deep within the cave. Jake felt power flowing through him unlike anything he had ever experienced. The bond with Zara had awakened something dormant in his human consciousness, expanding his perception beyond normal limits. "I can feel them," he whispered, his eyes closed in concentration. 6 hunters, including Corvain. "They're setting up a perimeter around the waterfall." Zara squeezed his hand, her own abilities amplified by their connection. "The bond is showing you what I can see. We're becoming something new, something the Council never expected." Through their shared awareness, Jake sensed Corvain's growing frustration. The alien commander was using advanced scanners, but the cave's mineral composition interfered with their technology. "There's something else," Zara said, her voice taking on a dreamlike quality. "The bond is revealing deeper truths. Jake, you're not entirely human." Jake's eyes snapped open. "Your grandmother, 3 generations back, she wasn't from Earth. The records were altered. But I can see it now through our connection." Zara's violet eyes were wide with wonder. "She was from Kepler 4, for 2b, the world I showed you in the visions." The revelation hit Jake like lightning. Suddenly, his dreams made sense. His persistent feeling of not quite belonging. His ability to understand Zara's language without being taught. "That's why the bond called to you," Zara continued. "Why I was able to find you across impossible distances. You carry the bloodline of my people." Outside, they heard splash of feet through the waterfall. The hunters were getting closer. "Even if that's true, it doesn't change our situation," Jake said. "Corvain still wants you back, and he still sees me as an obstacle." Zara stood, pulling him up with her. "But now we know why our connection is so powerful. We're not defying nature, we're fulfilling it." The sound of energy weapons charging echoed through the cave entrance. Corvain's voice boomed from outside. "Zara, I know you can hear me. The Council has authorized me to use any means necessary to retrieve you. Surrender now, or watch your human pet die slowly." Jake felt Zara's anger flare through their bond. His own rage responded in kind. The combined emotion created a feedback loop that made the cave walls tremble. "He's trying to separate us," Zara realized. "He knows that together we're dangerous to everything they represent. Then let's show him just how dangerous we can be," Jake said, his hybrid heritage awakening fully under the stress of the moment. They walked toward the cave entrance hand in hand, their combined presence radiating power that made the hunters step back nervously. When they emerged through the waterfall, Jake saw fear flicker in Corvain's silver eyes for the first time. "Impossible," the commander breathed. "A human cannot channel Andromedan abilities." "He's not just human," Zara said proudly. "He's part of both our worlds. It's a bridge between species that the Council fears most." Jake felt energy crackling around his hands, the same purple glow that emanated from Zara's abilities. Through their bond, he could access powers that had laid dormant his entire life. "You represent everything we've worked to prevent," Corvain snarled, raising his weapon. "Chaos, the breakdown of order, the contamination of pure bloodlines." "We represent love," Jake replied, his voice carrying harmonics that hadn't been there before. "Something you'll never understand." The confrontation was interrupted by a new voice from above. "Stand down, Commander Corvain." A larger ship descended through the trees, its hull bearing the symbols of the Andromedan High Council. From its transport bay emerged an elderly alien female, her bearing regal and authoritative. "Counselor Thera," Corvain said, confusion clear in his voice. "I was not informed of your arrival." The counselor's ancient eyes studied Jake and Zara with interest rather than hostility. The bond between them has created ripples across space-time that our seers detected. This is not a violation of our laws. It may be their fulfillment. Jake felt Zara's surprise through their connection. "I don't understand," she said. "Ancient prophecy spoke of a bridge between worlds. 2 souls from different species, whose love would herald a new age of cooperation." Counselor Thara approached them slowly. "We believed them to be myths. We were wrong." Corvain's weapon never wavered. "Counselor, surely you cannot mean to legitimize this abomination." "I mean to witness history," the counselor replied firmly. "Lower your weapons. All of you." As the tension began to ease, Jake felt the truth settling into his bones. This wasn't an ending, it was a beginning. The forest clearing had become an unlikely meeting ground between worlds. Counselor Thera stood between the hunters and the bonded pair, her ancient wisdom weighing the moment that would decide the future of both species. The prophecies were clear, she continued, her voice carrying the authority of centuries. When the child of two worlds finds their destined mate, you would trust our future to ancient fairy tales and the delusions of a rogue scout? I would trust our future to love, the counselor replied. Something our people have forgotten in their pursuit of genetic purity and political control. Jake felt power surging through the bond he shared with Zara. Around them, the forest itself seemed to respond to their connection. Flowers bloomed out of season, birds sang in perfect harmony, and even the light filtering through the trees took on an ethereal quality. Look around you. Corvains, Zara said, her voice filled with quiet strength. The universe itself celebrates our union. How can you call that wrong? The commander's silver eyes darted between the supernatural display and his hunters, who were beginning to lower their weapons in wonder. Parlor tricks and illusions, he growled, studying him with eyes that had witnessed the rise and fall of civilizations. Show me your heritage, child of two worlds. Jake closed his eyes and reached deep into the well of power that Zara's presence had awakened. When he opened them again, they glowed with the same violet light as his beloved's. Energy danced between his fingers, and when he spoke, his words carried harmonics that resonated in the souls of everyone present. I am Jake Morrison of Earth and Kepler 4. For 2B, he said, his voice echoing strangely. My love for Zara Velenith is not a violation of natural law. It is its fulfillment. One by one, the hunters knelt, recognizing the fulfillment of their oldest prophecies. Even Corvain's weapon arm wavered as the truth became undeniable. This changes nothing, the commander said desperately. The council will never accept it. The council will adapt or be replaced by those with greater wisdom, Counselor Thera said firmly. The age of separation is ending. The age of unity begins now. Zara moved closer to Jake, their hands finding each other with magnetic certainty. What happens now? She asked. Now you have a choice, the counselor replied. You can return with us to help guide our people through this transition, or you can remain here and build a new life together. Either path serves the greater destiny. Jake looked into Zara's violet eyes and saw his own thoughts reflected there. We stay, they said in unison, their bond speaking with one voice. Corvain made one final attempt at resistance, lunging forward with his weapon raised. But the combined power of Jake and Zara's connection created a barrier of pure energy that sent him flying backward into a tree. The prophecy is fulfilled, Counselor Thara declared, smiling for the first time since her arrival. Let word spread across both worlds that love has triumphed over fear. As the Andromedan ships departed, Jake and Zara stood alone in the forest where their incredible journey had begun. The bond between them hummed with contentment and infinite possibility. So what do we do now? Jake asked, pulling her close. Zara smiled, her eyes sparkling with mischief and love. Now we live, love, and show both our species that some things are worth crossing galaxies for. Their kiss was witnessed only by the stars, but its significance rippled across space and time, heralding a new chapter in the relationship between Earth and the cosmos. Love had indeed conquered all, just as the ancient prophecies had promised. In the distance, Earth's space agencies would soon detect the first official communication from the Andromedan Federation, requesting permission to establish peaceful, diplomatic relations. The age of isolation was over. The age of unity had begun with a love story that proved destiny could not be denied. Jake and Zara walked hand in hand toward their future. Two souls from different worlds who had found their way to each other against impossible odds. Their love becoming the bridge between species and the foundation of a new era for both their peoples.